Good morning, students and viewers. Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Diligent Coaching Seminary. It is an academic YouTube channel in which I upload different tutorial videos related to the courses of the schools and colleges. And today, once again, I have come here with a new video. And before to start my today's tutorial, I want to request all the students and viewers, please kindly subscribe my channels and press the bell icon such that whenever I upload any new videos related to your course, then you will get the notification. And also I want to request to like, share and comment on the videos, and if you want the lecture on the particular topics of the particular subject of the particular class or level, you can mention that in the comment box such that I can bring the required videos to you. And I have been giving you the lecture in the class 10 science book of the chapter 4, and today once again I have come here with the lecture of the class 10 science book 4th chapter, and it is the 7th part of the chapter. And in this chapter you have learned about the gravitational force. So now let's study the more concept in the gravitational force, which is in the class 10 science book. In this chapter 4, you have to study about the free fall as well. So let's study the topic free fall. First of all, I want to define the free fall. The falling the object from the certain height towards the surface of the earth or other heavenly bodies under the effect of the gravity alone in the absence of air resistance is called free fall. The falling of an object from the certain height towards the surface of the earth or other heavenly bodies under the effect of the gravity alone in the absence of the air resistance is called free fall. That means if any object is falling towards the surface of the earth or the other planets or satellites or other any heavenly bodies, and it is falling only by the pull or attraction of the force of the gravity, and if there is complete absence of air resistance, then it is called free fall. That means in the case of free fall, the object has to fall down only by the effect of the force of gravity. That means other force should not act on the object at all. And first of all, any objects fall towards the surface of the earth or other heavenly bodies, it is by the force of gravity. And if there is no force of gravity in the earth, then object will not fall in downward direction towards the surface of the earth. But it is not the force of gravity only which is pulling the object in downward direction. There is role of other factor as well. The role is, in the earth there is presence of atmosphere. That means there is presence of air above the surface of the earth. And since the air is present above the surface of the earth, when any object is falling downward by the effect of the force of gravity, then air resistance acts on the body, and that air resistance acts on the body in upward direction as well. That is the reason the air resistance may act in opposite direction of the gravity as well. So such type of fall is not called free fall. That means if air is present, then we cannot say that is free fall, because in this case the air resistance acts in upward direction as well on the object when the object is falling in downward direction. So for free fall, the most important requirement is there should be complete absence of air and air resistance. So the free fall is not possible when the object is falling in downward direction in the earth, because earth has atmosphere, and definitely when there is atmosphere, then the atmosphere and the air will give the air resistance on the object. So the free fall is possible only when the object is falling in the surface of the moon, because In the moon there is no presence of atmosphere. That means the air resistance cannot act on the object. So if the object is falling downward in the surface of the moon, then it is only due to the force of gravity of the moon. The force of gravity of the moon pulls the object in downward direction, and other force cannot act on the object. So falling down in the surface of the moon is absolute free fall. And similarly, falling down in the surface of the Jupiter as well, or other planets as well, because in the case of other planets, there is no presence of atmosphere, and in the earth only, the falling down of object is not free fall, because there is presence of atmosphere in the earth. And when any object falls downward, then gravity acts on the object in downward direction, but the air resistance also acts on the object in upward direction. That is the reason there is no free fall in the object in the earth. Now let's see some reasoning question related to the free fall. A paratrooper can jump from the aeroplane which is flying in the sky, and the paratrooper can land safely in the surface of the earth. What is the reason behind this? First of all, when the paratrooper jump down from the high altitude with the parachute, then in the beginning the paratrooper will have almost free fall. That means the paratrooper will fall down with very high speed. But when he or she opens the parachute, then the air resistance acts in the large surface area of the parachute in upward direction, and because of the air resistance acting in the large surface area of the parachute in upward direction, it decreases the downward velocity, due to which the parachute fall down slowly in the surface of the earth. Then the paratrooper can land safely. The paratrooper can land safely only because of the air resistance acting in the parachute. And if there is no air resistance, then the paratrooper cannot land safely, because the paratrooper will fall with the natural speed that has been provided by the force of the gravity. So paratrooper can land safely in the surface of the earth because it is not the case of the free fall. If there is the case of complete free fall, then the paratrooper cannot land safely in the surface of the earth. Now next reasoning question: it is not possible to fall safely with the help of parachute in the surface of the moon. What is the reason behind this? In the moon there is no presence of atmosphere. That means there is no presence of air and air resistance. And when a parachute jump down from high altitude in the surface of the moon, and even the paratrooper opens the parachute, then what will happen? There is no air resistance which will act in the parachute. That is the reason the paratrooper will have complete free fall towards the surface of the moon, and the paratrooper will fall down with the acceleration due to gravity of the moon, and will not fall with slow speed. That is the reason, because of complete free fall, the paratrooper will hit the ground with the maximum speed that has been provided by the force of gravity of the moon. So he or she cannot land safely in the surface of the moon. So only one thing you have to understand here: there is no presence of air and atmosphere in the moon. That means whenever paratrooper jump down from the high altitude, then only the force of gravity of the moon acts on the paratrooper, but the air resistance cannot act in upward direction, due to which the velocity of the paratrooper cannot decrease. The paratrooper will fall down with the natural velocity that has been provided by the force of the gravity of the moon, and cannot fall down safely. So now I want to explain about the guinea and feather experiment. And in this experiment we need a glass vessel, and inside the glass vessel we have to keep a coin and a feather, and that glass vessel should be provided with the vacuum pump That means inside the glass vessel we will create complete vacuum. And now whenever we invert that glass vessel, then we will see that the coin and feather will fall down with same speed. That means whenever we drop a coin and feather outside, then we will see that the coin will reach the ground faster, but the feather will fall down with slow speed. It is because of air resistance present normally. But when we carry out this activity in the vacuum, that means inside the glass vessel which is in complete vacuum there, then both the coin and the feather will fall down with same speed. That is what it is observed there in the guinea and feather experiment, and both of them will fall down with the acceleration due to gravity. So I have mentioned here in this experiment a coin and a feather are dropped from same height in the vacuum. Then it will be observed that the both fall down with same velocity because they are in complete free fall in the absence of air resistance, and they fall down with the acceleration due to gravity. So only one thing you have to understand: when the object is in complete free fall, then the object will fall down with the acceleration due to gravity. Now let's see another reasoning question. The coin and the feather fall down simultaneously in the surface of the moon. What is the reason behind this? First of all, everybody know the coin and a feather are dropped in the surface of the earth. Then what will happen? Everybody know the coin will fall down faster, but the feather will fall down with very slow speed and reaches the ground slower than the coin. It is much more slower than the coin, and it is because of the air resistance present in the earth. The air resistance acts on the coin and in the feather, but since the feather is comparatively lighter than the coin, then air resistance is more effective in the case of feather, because of which the feather will fall down with slow speed than coin in the surface of the earth. But you know, in the moon there is no atmosphere, and due to which there is complete absence of air resistance, and both the coin and the feather will have free fall in the surface of the moon. Then due to which they will fall down with complete free fall, and they will fall down with the acceleration due to gravity of the moon. So both the coin and the feather fall down simultaneously in the moon. That means they reaches the ground together in the surface of the moon if they are dropped from the same height. Then let's see another reasoning question. The sheet of papers fall down slowly. Why? You know, whenever we throw a sheet of paper, then it will be observed that the sheet of paper cannot reach the ground immediately. It will slowly fall down, and it will take some time to reach the ground. And it is because, you know, in the earth there is presence of the atmosphere. That means air is present, and whenever the sheet of the paper is dropped, then because of the less mass of the sheet of paper, the atmospheric pressure, that means air resistance, start to act in the paper, and because of air resistance acting in the paper in upward direction, its velocity is decreased. Then the sheet of paper will fall down slowly because the sheet of paper will not have complete free fall there. So here I have mentioned the answer. The sheet of paper has less mass, due to which it has less weight as well, because the relation W proportional to M. And but more air resistance acts on the paper in upward direction, so the sheet of paper fall down slowly. Now I want to discuss about the weightlessness. First of all, I want to define the weightlessness: the state of the object in which it experiences that it is not being attracted by any force is known as the weightlessness. The state of an object in which it experiences that it is not being attracted by any force is known as the weightlessness. It means in the condition of weightlessness, the object will experience that it has no weight. and it is possible if there is no effect of gravity, because the weight of the object is due to the force of the gravity, and if there is no effect of force of gravity, then the object will have no weight. And in the condition of weightlessness, the reading in the spring balance will be zero, because spring balance measure the weight of the object, and in the condition of weightlessness the weight of the object is mathematically also zero. So in the reading of the spring balance it will be zero, that can be seen. And now I am going to explain you in which conditions weightlessness takes place in the object. That means in which condition the object will have no weight. And there are four conditions in which the object will have no weight, an object will be in weightlessness. And first condition is when the object is in complete free fall. That means when the object is falling down only under the effect of gravity in the absence of complete air resistance, then that kind of falling is called free fall. And when the object is in complete free fall, then the object will fall down with the acceleration due to gravity, and in that condition the object will experience the weightlessness, and object will have no weight at all. Then second condition of the weightlessness is when the object is located at the null point in the space. First of all, I want to define the null point. A null point is such point or location in the space where there is no effect of gravity at all. That means such kind of point or place are existing in the space, and in those point gravity of any heavenly bodies cannot affect. That means we can find that point between earth and the moon, and in that point there is neither effect of the gravity of the moon nor the effect of the gravity of the earth. So such kind of point or location are called null point. And if any object is located in such null point, then the object will experience the weightlessness, because in those point there is no effect of gravity of any heavenly bodies. And whenever there is no effect of gravity, then the object cannot have any weight, because gravity is the cause of the weight. Weight is possible only if there is presence of gravity. And the third condition is when the object is located at the center of the earth. At the center of the earth the value of the acceleration due to gravity is zero, and the value of the gravity is also zero. So in that case the weight of the object is also absolute zero. So it is the third condition, if the object is located at the center of the earth. And the fourth condition is when the object is located inside the artificial satellite revolving around the earth. There are many satellites which has been projected by the scientists in the space, and they are revolving around the earth in their own orbit, and those satellites are called artificial satellite. And those artificial satellites are projected in the space for different purpose, like it may be projected for the communication. And inside those satellites there are some space station as well, in which scientists can go there and stay. And without artificial satellites, whatever means of communication we are using, that is not possible. That means we are using telephones, television, mobiles, internet, all are due to the support of the artificial satellite. And if any object or any person is inside such artificial satellites which are revolving around the earth, in that case also the object will be in complete weightlessness. So here are these four conditions of the weightlessness that I have discussed. When the object is in complete free fall, when the object is located at the null point in the space, when the object is located at the center of the earth, and when the object is located inside the artificial satellite which is revolving around the earth. Now let's see the differences between weightlessness and free fall. The first difference is the definition. Weightlessness. Now let's see the differences between weightlessness in free fall and weightlessness in space. The weightlessness in free fall, it occurs because in the case of free fall, the acceleration of the object is equal to the acceleration due to gravity. And weightlessness in space, it occurs because there is no gravity at all. So it is the difference. In the case of free fall, it is not due to the no gravity. It is only because the acceleration of the object is equals to acceleration due to gravity. But in the space at the null point, there is no gravity, so the object will experience that it is in free fall. And the second difference is the weightlessness in free fall can take place for short period of time, but weightlessness in space can take place for long period of time. Now let's see the differences between weightlessness and free fall. First difference is their definition, and the weightlessness is defined as the state of the object at which it experiences that it is not being attracted by any force is called weightlessness, and the free fall is defined as it is the motion of the object at which it is falling under the effect of only gravity in the absence of air resistance completely. And weightlessness, it is the effect of the free fall, and free fall, it is the cause of the weightlessness. So in my today's lecture, I have discussed about the weightlessness and free fall and their consequence, and I will come with more concept of the fourth chapter in my upcoming videos. So I want to end my today's lecture, and before saying you goodbye, I want to request all the students and viewers, please kindly subscribe my channels and press the bell icon so that whenever I upload any new tutorials for you, you will get the notification. And I also want to request you to like, share and comments on the video, and I have already said you, if you want the lecture in the particular topics of the particular subject or particular class, you can mention that in the comment such that I can bring new tutorial for you as per your requirement. And now I want to end my today's video. Thank you very much for staying with me, and goodbye and stay blessed.